Have you ever wondered why failure hurts so much? Why does it feel like the end of the world? We've all been there, the sting of a setback, the burn of a blunder. It's a universal experience, a shared human condition. From the moment we take our first steps, we're introduced to the concept of failure. We stumble, we fall, we get back up again. And yet, as we grow older, failure begins to take on a more sinister shape in our minds. It becomes a monster lurking in the shadows of our ambitions, ready to pounce at the first sign of vulnerability. Society, it seems, has a complex relationship with failure. We're taught to fear it, to avoid it, to do everything in our power to never face it. We're told that success is the only acceptable outcome, that winning is the only game in town. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if this fear of failure is holding us back, stifling our potential, keeping us from truly soaring? Imagine for a moment a world where failure is not a dreaded foe, but a trusted friend. A world where each misstep is not a crushing defeat, but a valuable lesson. A world where every stumble is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to our resilience. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Here's the thing. Failure in its purest form is nothing more than feedback. It's a signal that something isn't working, a nudge in a different direction, a catalyst for change. And change, as we all know, is the lifeblood of progress. Without it, we'd still be living in caves, shivering in the dark. So, here's a radical thought. What if we could embrace failure, not as a mark of shame, but as a badge of honor? What if we could see it not as a stumbling block, but as a stepping stone? What if we could view each failure not as a dead end, but as a detour on the road to success? So what if we could change our perspective on failure? Imagine, just for a moment, a world-class athlete who has never lost a race. Picture the confidence, the unbeatable spirit, the conviction that every start line is just a prelude to another victory. Now let's breathe life into this athlete. We'll call her Jane. Jane, a sprinter, the fastest woman on the planet, a symbol of invincibility. One fateful day, Jane steps onto the track for the biggest race of her life. The air is electric with anticipation, but something is different. Jane stumbles. She falls. The crowd gasps in disbelief. Our invincible hero has lost. Jane's world turns upside down. The taste of defeat is bitter and the emotional toll is heavy. She finds herself questioning her ability, her strength, her worth. The once invincible Jane is now a mere mortal, humbled by the harsh reality of failure. Jane tries to get back on track, literally and metaphorically. She trains harder, pushes herself to the limit, but the results don't follow. Every race seems like a replay of her fall. The whispers of doubt become louder, the sleepless nights longer, and the weight of failure heavier. She considers giving up. After all, once you've tasted the sweetness of victory, the bitterness of defeat is hard to swallow. She feels like she's drowning in a sea of disappointment and despair. But Jane is not just any athlete. She's a fighter, a warrior. She decides to face her failure, to confront her fears. She changes her training routine, seeks advice from coaches, even revisits her diet. She tries everything, but nothing seems to work. The finish line seems farther than ever. At this point, our hero was at the lowest of the low. But was this the end? Absolutely not. Our hero didn't let failure define him. Instead, he saw it as a lesson. When life threw him a curveball, he didn't dodge or duck. He caught it, studied it, and learned from it. He transformed his failure into his most powerful tool for growth. He didn't just experience failure, he dissected it, understood it, and then used it as a stepping stone towards his success. It all started with a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing failure as a final destination, he saw it as a temporary detour on his journey. This change in outlook formed the foundation for everything that followed. The next step was revising his approach. He began to see each attempt not as a do-or-die situation, but as an opportunity to learn. Each failure became a lesson, each mistake a teacher. He stopped fearing failure and started embracing it, using it as a powerful tool to refine his strategies. He also revamped his training regimen. No longer was it just about physical prowess. It became a comprehensive program that included mental strength as well. He understood that the body achieves what the mind believes, and so he trained his mind to be as resilient as his body. He began to visualize his success, to feel it, to live it in his mind before it happened in reality. This new mindset wasn't built overnight. It was the result of countless hours of introspection, of self-analysis, and of brutally honest self-assessment. But it was worth it, because it gave him the strength to stand up every time he fell, the courage to face his fears, and the wisdom to learn from his mistakes. And so, with a renewed approach, a refined training regimen, and a resilient mindset, he began his journey towards success. He understood that the path would be strewn with obstacles, but he was ready. He was armed with the lessons from his past failures, and he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, he turned his failure into a catalyst for his future success. So, what does our hero's story tell us about failure? In the grand scheme of life, every stumble, every fall, and every setback is nothing more than a stepping stone to success. When we look at the bigger picture, we realize that these so-called failures are not roadblocks, but rather they're lessons. They're the universe's way of teaching us, pushing us to grow, to evolve, to become stronger and more resilient. Our hero's story is a testament to this. Each failure they encountered, each obstacle they faced, it was an opportunity to learn something new, to adapt, to try a different approach. They didn't view their failures as defeat, but rather as a chance to learn, to explore new avenues and to grow. When we change our perspective and start to see failure not as a dead end, but as a learning opportunity, we begin to understand its true value. It's not about the fall, it's about what we do after we fall. Do we stay down or do we dust ourselves off, learn from our mistakes and try again? Embracing failure as a learning opportunity allows us to develop resilience. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it requires training. It requires falling and getting back up again and again. This resilience that we build, it's the key to our ultimate success. It's what enables us to keep going, to keep trying, no matter how many times we fall. So let's not fear failure, but rather let's embrace it, let's welcome it. Because with every failure comes a lesson, with every setback comes an opportunity for growth. Let's remember, it's not about how many times we fall, but how many times we rise. Next time you find yourself facing failure, remember, it's not the end of the world, but a chance to learn, grow, and rise stronger than before.